Brett Adcock, CEO of Figure Robotics, considered by many to be the leading competitor to Tesla's humanoid bot Optimus, dropped a mind-blowing demo showing that their Figure robot, powered by a new AI called Helix, can now act and think like a human. This demo shows two Figure robots putting away groceries just by visually looking at the environment. They say the AI can now generally pick up any household item just by asking. With us today is Cern Basher, who follows the humanoid bot industry closely. Cern is a chartered financial analyst who's currently running his own investment advisory firm called BrilliantAdvice. Welcome, Cern. Thank you for joining me again.
Hi, Herbert. It's great to be here. This is an exciting development.
It's a recent Figure and CEO Brett Adcock just dropped these demos. They explain this is a brand new AI. We're going to compare it also to how this AI compared to when they had a partnership with OpenAI, who they themselves claimed that they're now going into humanoid robots. So let's start off by showing exactly what happened here. Brett Adcock, the CEO, dropped this demo. It's a 2-minute and 41-second demo of two robots picking up items from grocery items, and you'll see what they're able to do with that now. So let's watch this.
Hey, Figures, can you come here? Okay, I'd like to try something new. Even though this is the very first time that you've ever seen these items, I'd like you to use your new Helix AI and try to reason through where you think they belong in the scene, and then work together to put them away. Does that sound good?
I want to turn off the music, copyright issues. What are you seeing here, sir?
Well, it's just interesting how they seamlessly begin to work together. And I love this part where they looks like they make eye contact as they make the handoff. We'll discuss that in a bit. At first blush, it looks like they're operating very slowly, but actually when you think about this, there's a lot going on here, and they're actually moving fairly quickly. Obviously, a human can do this faster, but the ability for the two bots to work together is pretty impressive.
So it's recognizing the items. Corey said that they have never seen these items before, so he needs to look at them. He needs to decide if it's going to the fridge or going to a tray. I guess they recognize that the environment there's a fridge and that there's a tray. It sees the apple now. And where do you put that? Sometimes I'll put that on the counter. Well, he's going to put it in the fruit bowl. Sometimes I put that in the refrigerator.
That's right. It's the same thing with the unopened can of ketchup or the unopened bottle of ketchup. If it's unopened, it can stay on the shelf. But yeah, there's some interesting nuance there, isn't there?
Yeah. But it recognized that it was able to open the refrigerator. Now it's closing the refrigerator. And of course, the exciting part was they were able to coordinate with each other. People keep saying it's not real because did you not see how one robot grabbed an item before they're even grabbing the item? The other one even looked at it. Object generalization, immediate. So apparently they are able to identify dexterous manipulation, collaborative, one neural net for all tasks and robots. And I think that's what explains it, right? I mean, it's one neural net, meaning to say that, well, you can explain to me, did you know that this is going to the cloud, or are they both independent from each other and they kind of are still collaborating, or are they basically it's one neural net and they're both understanding what they're both supposed to be doing?
It's my understanding from what I read afterwards that it's one neural net, but operating on two different robots.
Okay.
And so it seems to me, like locally running, it's not going to the cloud. So it seems to me that there needs to be some sort of communication between the two bots. But that's not clear about that. Yeah, okay. I was hoping that we would hear the bots speak to each other and say, "Oh, I have a bottle of ketchup.
Right.
Let's put that in the fridge."
Yeah.
That would be an interesting thing to hear them sort of think it through.
So we will later play the video that they dropped earlier when they had a partnership with OpenAI, where they actually the bots actually had a voice and they were able to talk back and forth with Corey. What Figure is now announcing is their own AI, because OpenAI decided that they're going to create their own humanoid robot. We think that that's the reason why they broke off from them. But of course, Figure is saying, hey, we always want to be fully integrated. We want to have our own AI. We've been working on this for a year, they said. So let's take a look more at what they're doing. Helix can generate. So this is what they said. Introducing Helix. Helix is the name of their AI, our newest AI that thinks like a human. To bring robots into homes, we need a step change in capabilities. Helix can generalize to any household item. So that's one of the things that they had to teach it, was recognize the household item. Coordinates a 35 degree of freedom action space at 200 hertz, controlling everything from individual finger movements to end effector trajectories, head gaze, and torso posture. So that is like the bot is, according to these guys, is recognizing this scene, grabbing it, and moving themselves, right? Everything from finger movements to trajectories, head gaze, torso. Let's play this part here where he said that, just so you can see it. Yeah, I think this is just a repeat of what we were seeing here earlier. And so you see how the one robot grabbed the ketchup, handed it off to his own left hand, knowing that he needs to put it to the high end shelf there. So that's interesting. Then you've got, this is what Brett said. What's truly exciting is that these robots can now generally pick up any household item. For instance, we asked it to pick up the desert item. Helix identifies a toy cactus, chooses the nearest hand, and executes precise motor commands to grab it securely. Which of these items here is a desert item? I wouldn't know.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Because it's a pretty abstract cactus.
Yeah. It's like, it's a toy. It's moving. Do cactuses move? They don't. So,
Yeah. You could easily argue that the hat would be a better choice in the desert.
I was going to say, because it's like sailor's hat, right? I mean, the sailor's hat, sometimes they find themselves in a desert island, right?
Right.
Deserted island.
Deserted islands in that case, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what this is. But okay, so that's interesting. They were able to do that. So these are pretty impressive. What's your
it is very impressive if it can truly generalize and pick up anything. And I noticed that they described a similar item in many different ways. There was one example where it was pick up a small shoe, pick up a leopard print shoe, pick up a kid's shoe, and it picked up those items. That's great, because the implication there is that could cut down on the training time. And of course, a bot that can generalize, you can put it anywhere in a home and you can basically have it pick up a million different items without teaching it specifically what each one is.
Yeah. For me, when I see something like this, the reaction that many have come off right away is, this is all faked. It's a demo. And that's absolutely true. These are demos, and demos are absolutely staged. And so that is absolutely true. However, this idea that can an AI recognize items, I don't think anybody should argue that anymore. Even Google DeepMind has shown this. Like many different AI companies have shown that AIs can recognize items. And what you're showing here is, can the bot move? And again, I'm not going to say that it's unlikely that the bot can do these kind of movements. It's more likely that they can.
Yeah, I think at this point, these movements are fairly basic, actually. So that part of it for me isn't in question. What is interesting about this is the first time we've seen two bots working together.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Right.
And what I was going to say was that when you see a bot company do something like this, instead of jumping at them going, it's all fake, I would say that, boy, this shows you what humanoid bots can do, and that many other bot companies will and can do this as well. Let's take a look at what Corey Lynch is. He's in charge of the Helix. He's in charge of the software team. And he said, my team has been working for a year trying to solve intelligence for the home. Meet Helix, the first humanoid vision language action model. They call that VLA, vision language action. From vision, including language, and then to action. This is one Helix neural network running on two figure robots at once. They've never seen any of these items before. And then they shared a little bit of their model architecture. First of its kind, System 1, System 2 VLA. I don't know what that means, but a 7 billion open source VLM thinks slowly in latent vision language space. A visual motor policy thinks fast to decode S2 latents into robot actions. Runs as fast as our fastest single task policies.
The
And so,
system 1, system 2 thing
Yeah.
is important to talk about. And they're showing there in that little purple box. So the system 1 is the fast reactive. It's the, doing the movements.
Mm,
System 2 is kind of the reasoning planning part of it.
gotcha.
Right. So there has to be, excuse me, there has to be coordination between those two systems as the tasks are being accomplished to move on to the next one.
Gotcha. And what I understand from some, critics, they're saying, well, you can grab any LLM and it can do the vision language semantic reasoning. And this is nothing more than just grabbing any LLM out there. But, and then this is what Figure is saying. This is a series of firsts. This is the first time you have vision language action to control the full humanoid upper body at 200 hertz, wrists, torso, head, individual fingers, first multi-robot, and first fully on board VLA.
Yeah, and that's back to our earlier question about whether or not there's, running up to the cloud. It sounds like it's not. It's running locally on these two bots. And that's great too.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
And then
now, just on that scene real quick there, where it's putting the ketchup in the high shelf on the fridge.
Yeah.
Is it doing that, Herbert, because the other shelves are full? Does it look like those other shelves have items on them, and so it's found the one where there's room?
I don't know.
Or does it look like to you there may be space on those other two shelves?
Yeah, I mean, this one here looks like there's a butter in it or something.
Yeah.
But I don't. This one looks empty. I don't know.
Looks like there's something there. It's hard to tell exactly how big it is and how much space it takes up. But I'd be curious to understand more deeply about how the robot is deciding, where in the refrigerator to put it. Does it know that bottles like that go on shelves generally in the door?
Yeah.
Right. That kind of thing is interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. This is interesting. So let's take a look at what Corey actually did say. Let's go through his posts here on X. My team has been working for a year to solve intelligence for the home. I've gone through that now. This is the model architecture that we were talking about. And this one has the GIF there, robot images, what it can see, and then whole upper body control. Once it decides what it's supposed to do, pick up the butter and hand it over to the robot on your left. So that is the reasoning, and it's an LLM, and then it takes that, and then it takes an action. So that's how the bot is thinking, right? The LLM is the one telling it what to do. Pick up the butter and hand it over to the robot on your left. And that's enough, though. Once you have that as a text command from the LLM, then the bot, that's the key part, right? That the bot is able to then take that instructions, that prompt, and then be able to change it to action.
Yeah, and what was amazing about the prompts for this video, this demo that we saw, it wasn't specifically asked to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it was very general instructions, and that's interesting as well.
Right, that's interesting. So here's, I think this one, I wanted to show this, which is good. We tested Helix on thousands of unseen objects and surfaces. We find Helix can pick up basically any small household item just by prompting. Pick up the golden curry. Golden curry? Pick up the
Here's
kid's
the one
shoe.
pick up the kid's shoe, and then pick up the leopard print shoe. So different ways of describing the same item, and pick up the small shoe.
Oh, I see what you're saying. They're all different ways to say the same thing, but pick up the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, the Japanese curry. Pick up the Japanese curry. Pick up the box of curry. Okay, gotcha. And then they called it the golden curry. No, I didn't get that part.
Yep.
Gotcha. Japanese curry.
On different surfaces, different colors, different lighting conditions, it looks like a little bit. Different layout. The item's not in the same position every time.
I've seen a demo of this already in the past. Again, Google DeepMind was showing this with a robotic arm on the table. And like it said, pick up a celebrity singer. And it was like a Taylor Swift photo. So it knew that was Taylor Swift. It knew to pick that one up, something like that. So, I think this is the first time, though, you've seen a humanoid with hands and then taking that instruction and be able to then grab it, because these are different items. So how would you pick up the hat? How would you pick up that box? You see how it picks up on the two sides of it? Or the ball,
and
it picks it up with fingers?
Yeah. And then, of course, with the food example is then where do I put that item? Where's the most appropriate place to put it?
Mm-hmm.
Right now we can nitpick a little bit about whether the unopened bottle of ketchup should go in the refrigerator or not, or the apple in the bowl. Maybe the apple should go in the fridge, but
Yeah.
still, that's impressive that it's making those decisions.
This is so impressive, actually, when you just stop and think about this and look at it, like these these containers, right? How hard do you press without breaking it? And
Yeah.
some things are soft, some things are hard.
Yeah, and the demo with the food, again, there was some criticism about, crushing the bag of cookies or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some potential challenges there in terms of how much force it does need to apply to certain objects. But when I look at that closely, it looked to me like it was reasonable. Now, the bag does deform a little bit, but it would if a human picked it up as well.
Look at the pliers, picking up the pliers. Oh, I can stare at this forever. It's so good.
Yeah, I can't wait till I have a bot to help me pick up my kid's Lego.
Yeah.
It could be fully employed in my house, doing that virtually all day long, I think. And wouldn't it be fun to finally have your Lego sorted by color or shape or something, right? Instead of just in one big box. Who has the time for that? Well, the humanoid bot would.
Exactly. And they would be happy to do it, or they wouldn't be upset to do it, or they wouldn't be bored to do it. That's the whole point, isn't it? Oh man, that is so cool. Okay, so let's take a look at what they did they demoed this speech to reasoning. This was pretty mind-blowing at the time. This was the first time they showed that they had a partnership with OpenAI, and OpenAI was able to integrate into the bots, and you can speak to the bots as bots can understand what you're saying. So then you can tell me if you think that what you saw here today is a backward step, forward step, and what ways is actually better than this or not.
Hey, figure one, what do you see right now?
I see a red apple on a plate in the center of the table, a drying rack with cups and a plate, and you standing nearby with your hand on the table.
Great, can I have something to eat?
Sure thing.
Great. Can you explain why you did what you just did while you pick up this trash?
On it. So I gave you the apple because it's the only edible item I could provide you with from the table.
Great. So, based on the scene right now, where do you think the dishes in front of you go next?
The dishes on the table, like that plate and cup, are likely to go into the drying rack next.
Great. Can you put them there?
Of course.
All right. So, how do you think you did?
I think I did pretty well. The apple found its new owner, the trash is gone, and the tableware is right where it belongs.
I agree. Thanks, figure one.
You're welcome. If there's anything else you need help with, just let me know. Fully learned fast, dexterous manipulation. They're saying it's autonomous, right? By this point, because they've taught it.
Right.
You've got look at the way it puts away the plate. It knows how to stack that plate properly on it, right? 2 fingers to grab the apple and not strong enough to break it. Yeah, so let's see. When was this made? This was done
March of last year.
March of last year. There's March of last year. So it's but pretty well a year ago that's what you saw. Um, yeah, how do you compare what you're seeing today than that?
Well, that was a very impressive video at the time. The speech part, I think, makes that video very powerful. To hear the robot have a voice, to hear the robot pause a little bit when it was giving an answer, it just made it seem so real, almost human-like.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Of course, when you look at the bot, you can see that it's not, but just that voice, for me, that was a very powerful video. At the same time, that bot was probably trained on exactly what a plate and a cup are.
Yeah.
And they probably did who knows how much training to get the bot to do those items, right? It might have been hours and hours and hours of training. So I think what we're seeing now is an advancement in that, is that they don't have to tell the bot what the items are anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The bot now, with much less training, can move objects around. So we're seeing some progress there. The one thing that was missing for me in this latest video is the speech part. I would have loved to hear the bots talk, talk back to the person giving them the instruction, and also talk amongst themselves. It would be kind of cute to hear the bots, discussing what to do next and where to put it. Right? I think that would be a lot of fun. Now, in real life, I don't think you want necessarily to hear all the bots talking to each other. If you had a factory of 1,000 bots,
Yeah.
you don't want them all talking to each other. But for the sake of a demo, I think that would be very powerful.
What's your thinking of why they dropped OpenAI, or why OpenAI may have dropped them, or why did that relationship? Because if they had shown that demo a year ago, you would imagine where they're at today. But these guys say, hey, I've created my own, calling it Helix. I've been working on it for a year. What's your actual thinking of what happened?
And I don't know, but my sense is that because OpenAI has designs on making their own humanoid,
Yeah.
that Figure may have felt like they're just there to learn as much as they can and take their technology, right, and go back and copy it essentially. And so you'd want to protect against that. And if that's how they felt about it, then I could understand them dropping OpenAI. Again, I'm just speculating. I don't know if that's true or not.
Right. I mean, they position here as something they've been working on for a year, but it could be combined the two together. What do you think is the actual real breakthrough here? Was there anything that you thought was an absolute breakthrough that maybe no other LLM has been able to show yet, or other VLA they call it? Yeah.
Well, I think they showed us some things that we've not seen before. Again, two robots cooperating together, I think was a very powerful image.
Yeah.
Again, if the speech part was there, I think that would have been extremely powerful, right? To hear the robots chatting back and forth, that would have been really cool. Although maybe that wouldn't really be that impressive. Maybe that's the easy part. But I think the fact that these robots are working together and working relatively fast is a nice step. Obviously, they can be a lot faster, and they will be over time. But I think that's kind of the breakthrough here. And the second part is the ability to generalize, right? With little training, not telling them what the items are, the robot can pick up an item with an instruction, verbal instruction, right? And we saw the examples of that. That's exciting for Figure, and it's exciting for all the other robot companies.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing too, I just want to mention is that, everybody seems to be in a camp, right? There's folks that cheer for Tesla. There's folks that are cheering for Figure and Apptronic and Sanctuary and other companies. And I think that we are in a robotics arms race, whether we like it or not. And I'm cheering for all of the Western Hemisphere companies, right? Whether they're U.S., European, Japanese, those companies. I'm cheering for them to be extremely successful. I'm also cheering for the Chinese companies, but I think the reality is that it's quite likely that humanoid robots developed by U.S. companies will be excluded from China, and Chinese humanoids will be excluded from the United States. These are the ultimate surveillance machines. They can listen, they can see, and they can actually do things. So you don't really want them wandering around, buildings, companies, looking at information, accessing files, and, scanning things, right? So to the extent that we worry about China stealing our intellectual property and that kind of thing, or even from a military perspective, worried about them as a foe, I think we're going to see a separation. and they'll be excluded from our market and we'll be excluded from their market. Now, Tesla seems to be in a very unique position in China, right? They're allowed to make their cars there and sell them there without a Chinese partner. So it'll be interesting to see if Elon is able to navigate that and have Optimus be sold or deployed in China. And that will be pretty fascinating to see if he can do that. But for the most part, I don't think we're going to let Chinese companies operate here, at least autonomously, right? Maybe if they're under control of a human, then fine. But I think there'll be some lines drawn in the sand in terms of what, which companies' robots are allowed to be sold where.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I'm cheering for the development of all humanoids from all U.S. and other companies in Europe and so on. I think this is a really exciting field to follow. And if Figure is ahead of Tesla right now in a couple of areas, I'm sure that the Tesla engineers, when they see this video, I'm sure now that they're working on it and catching up where they need to be, if in fact they need to catch up anywhere. And I think that's great. I wish we would see more videos from all the bot makers. I understand perhaps why they wouldn't want to share their information as freely as they were, but to the extent that they are recruiting, we see lots of videos. And certainly Figure right now, it appears that they're hiring. They're asking people to join their team, and the Optimus program is as well. So I hope that they're hiring for a long time to come, because it is a lot of fun to see these videos.
Yeah, I like what you said, because I think that that's absolutely important, right? The most important thing is that, the Western countries need to have humanoid bots. They need to be supporting it. Multiple companies, not just one. Yeah. So that's first step. I totally agree. This whole hatred for Figure, it's a little bit overblown in my mind. Like, there is no competition, honestly. Tesla is going to be very, very successful. They're the only company with the best AI now, the smartest AI, plus the manufacturing firm, plus the manufacturing, but also just the there's so many advantages here. They're really well ahead. They've got the most advanced fingers and hands, 22 degrees of freedom. Doesn't take away from how successful Figure is going to become. They will be successful, and we want all of them to be as successful as possible, right? So that's the first step. Here's what's happening here. Let me show this of more information about what Figure said that they're about to do here. They've got, this was just last week, right? So Figure 2 is the next version of their robot, and it's shipping out already to a second customer. At this point, it's an unnamed second customer. BMW is their first. In less than 30 days, we had our robots performing end-to-end work, all using a single neural network. We'll share a detailed update on this soon. The next 30 days are going to be insane. And this is what we just saw now. This idea that robots are not yet ready, that's not true. There are already customers with robots that are already doing useful work today, and they will speed up. This is the worst that you'll see them. What's interesting is this new use case with just their new customer is extremely challenging. Traditionally, robots have struggled to manipulate objects like this, often finding it nearly impossible. Okay, so this is a photo of their shipping some of their bots now to customers. They've also are about to move in some new facilities, because Figure wants to build their own robots. Unlike many of the other robotic companies out there who are partnering with manufacturing firms, Figure says we're going to do it our own. And so this is going to be a challenge for this company. Can they build a manufacturing firm when they don't have any experience? It'll take them a lot longer than, let's say, Tesla will. So, but they built these factories already. There's going to be 3 of them, and they're moving in a couple of weeks. And this is just how large they are. Chinese EV giants are betting big on humanoid robots. So the companies that are making electric vehicles in China is fully supported by Chinese government with an entire supply chain, the whole industry. They're going full force in trying to become the electric vehicle, winner in the industry. And they pretty well have won at this point. And they're just trying now to go global. Now they want to do the same with humanoid bots. And so, United States and Europe, we need to focus and make sure that our bot vendors, whoever they have to be, are fully supported. Thoughts on anything I just said there or shared?
Yeah, I mean, it's clear, obviously, that Tesla has manufacturing prowess that probably very few companies on the planet have. That's a given. That said, the challenges, I think, of making humanoid bots is not going to be nearly as great as the challenges of making EVs. You have to move a lot of mass. You need a massive factory. You need to put billions of dollars of investment into factories. The cost of a humanoid robot factory will probably be a lot less. You don't need a gigapress to make a humanoid bot, right? So the ability for companies to manufacture should be much easier. Now the question is how, what kind of scale can they manufacture? And that's an open question. We'll see. The industry will evolve over time. I would like to see a lot more cooperation amongst the robot companies. Now, I understand for competitive reasons that may not be in their best interest, but at the end of the day, they also have to keep in mind that you've got the nation of China, kind of in some ways breathing down your neck. We need to make sure that this technology, which is, let's make no mistake about it, this is a military technology. None of us really want to see humanoid bots on the battlefield, but I'd rather see humanoids on the battlefield than humans. So if there ever is going to be any conflict, I'd rather that the drones and the humanoids fight it out than putting people at risk. So in that sense, some cooperation among the bot vendors in the US and in Europe might not be a bad idea. I'm sure, I hope that the US government is looking very closely at the role of humanoids on the battlefield, and certainly as support, support entities. So it's a very interesting, challenging time, right? In some sense, as an investor in whatever company you're invested in, you want that company to do well, and you want the highest possible market share. But at the same time, there are some other sort of considerations at play here too.
And I think what we both agree is that every single one of these companies can hit their highest market share, and not rub shoulders against each other. It's not a competition. Honestly, it won't be a competitive market for at least a decade, if not more. Once you're making multi-millions, like 10 million, this one company makes 10 million, this one company makes 15 million, 20 million. That's maybe where they might challenge the same customer, but there's so many customers that's going to want this. That's my belief. So just to get everybody updated, I like this chart. The humanoid robots as of the most notable in 2024. Here's a human on the left here. You can see just that just for size. And then you've got Atlas from Boston Dynamics, got Digit from Aptronic, and they're all Agility. They're already selling it. This is Phoenix from Sanctuary. This is the Figure 2 that we're seeing. This is the Tesla Optimus Gen 2, right? They're already on their Gen 3 version. And they're, the other thing about Tesla is they're not going to show demos. For people who think, why didn't Tesla do more demos? They don't need to. The others, they're so far ahead of everyone else. I don't think they need to show the demos. In fact, others will copy them. So I'm not as disappointed that Tesla's not showing demos. You got Apollo from Aptronic. They just raised $350 million. And then you've got Unitree, very small bot here from China, GR1 from China, Mentibot. I guess Cyber One, Xiaomi, another Chinese one, car company. And then I think this is Spain. And then this is Norway, Neo 1X.
Yeah, and there's a few more other robotics companies around the world as well that are working on them. But that's a pretty good list.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, those are just the little group there. So right now, Cern, you are considered to be one of the best people that research the humanoid bot industry. You've been following closely. You've got your table that you're tracking every single humanoid bot company in a variety of different columns. We've shown it in the previous show, so I'm not going to bring it up again. But so based on what you're hearing right now, who do you think? Again, we just keep saying there's really no leader per se, but let's go down this list. Who are the top 5? Let's say.
The top 5 in my mind, clearly Tesla and Figure are leading the race, in my opinion.
Okay.
It's unclear to me whether Tesla, from a bot capability standpoint, is where Figure is, but it's just because we haven't seen any of the latest videos.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that they're probably equal, or if not ahead.
Yeah.
There's no
Now, there
doubt
was some
about it.
concern a few months ago. I think Scott Walter may have expressed some concern about the Optimus bot, only using one hand
Yeah.
and not using both hands. I don't know where Tesla is with that in terms of the bot's capability. We haven't
Those are
seen,
demos. Yeah.
right? We haven't seen any videos of that. We've heard, I think Robert Scoble has said that Optimus is working in the factory in Fremont. I don't know if he said how many bots, but I think he was indicating that it was 10 to 20 in terms of that kind of number. Perhaps it's more. I'm not sure. Again, Tesla hasn't told us. So clearly, Tesla's in the race, and if you take Elon at his word, they're looking to scale up manufacturing at the back half of this year. Right? You wouldn't do that unless you had a bot that was highly capable.
Exactly.
Right? Now, again, we don't know for sure whether they're scaling up or if they're on track to scale up manufacturing. We see the job openings, and that's one sign. But maybe that manufacturing doesn't start until the first or second quarter of next year. We'll have to see. We're seeing that Figure is beginning to, raising more capital, building manufacturing capacity, and they're likely to want to scale up production as well. Now, they've also told us that they've got Figure 3 waiting in the wings, and they haven't unveiled that bot yet. And so that's another thing. So maybe Figure 2 that we're seeing is not really the production version yet, right? In terms of other companies, I think Apptronic has a very interesting position. They're a very highly regarded firm. They have made robots for other robot makers. They've been working with NASA, I believe, for many years. They've been around a long time.
Well,
They've actually made
they're
money.
the choice by Google now. Google's their
Yeah.
investor, they're their partner. This is
That's
Google's
right.
humanoid venture. Yeah.
That's right. I think Sanctuary is interesting as well. They have bots working in factories, in warehouses, moving things around, and I believe they have their own manufacturing facility now as well in Oregon.
Not Sanctuary. You're talking about Agility Digit.
I'm sorry, Agility. Yeah,
Yep.
Sanctuary is the Canadian firm.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of top 5, I think it's easier to maybe point to the top 3 or 4.
Yep.
But we're still in some ways early on in the development cycle for these things.
Mm-hmm.
So I fully expect that the likes of Amazon and Microsoft and Facebook and Apple and Google, right, should all be in this game one way or the other. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, NVIDIA and Microsoft invested in Figure, as did OpenAI and Jeff Bezos. Is Amazon going to partner with one of these robotics companies, or are they going to build it themselves? That remains to be seen. But to me, there's no doubt that all these big companies are going to want to participate in this market in some way. Now,
Yeah.
Facebook recently said that they want to participate and supply the bot industry with certain technology. And that's a little bit of a confusing strategy for me. Why would they just want to do that? Why wouldn't they want to have their own bot?
They have no manufacturing capability. We're talking Meta.
Yeah.
And then you've got Apple, who said that they're going to get into the game too, but they're early R&D. So clearly, if you're a company, large company, you need to have AI. You need to be in physical AI. You need to get in the game. But honestly, it's a little too little late. Maybe they can find a way to leapfrog. But at the end of the day, it's manufacturing. That's what this is. And the only company of the Mag 7 that has manufacturing chops, that have actual factories that they've got 20 years of experience, is Tesla. So in my mind, yeah, there's no doubt at this point, in my mind, Tesla is so far ahead in manufacturing. They're the smartest. They got the smartest AI. They got the best, humanoid bot structures. This whole idea that, oh, I've not seen it run. I've not seen it, use two hands. This is ridiculous, honestly. The chances of that they're behind there versus what we're seeing now is so low.
Right.
It is so low because of, again, just we know who Tesla is. We know what they've built. We know the capabilities of building products. So yeah, I'm not worried at all. And my answer is that they've not done any demos because they shouldn't. Others, Chinese, are going to copy them as soon as they see anything, and they shouldn't do any demos. And you come out and go, I've got 1,000 bots in my factories all working. That's the demo. I mean, that's not even a demo anymore. That's like, we're done with demos. Yeah. Now, like you say, they have to drop a few just for recruiting purposes. But right now, which company does the smartest engineers, smartest people want to go to? It's going to be Tesla at this point, and the others are the ones trying to show demos here, demos there.
It's interesting too, in that with Grok 3 and XAI's new large language model, leapfrogging basically all the competition.
Yep.
At least it appears to be the case. And I've been using Grok this week, and it's very impressive. That kind of plugs a potential hole that Tesla had. And it turns out maybe that large language models aren't so special after all. It just takes a few $1 billion to to get in the game.
Well, it's not as special after all if you're trying to target what the best of LLMs are today. They all have the same access to the same data sets.
Yeah.
What is going to now separate is going to be pure size of compute. Who has the most supercomputer? Because its scaling laws are applying. The more supercomputer, the smarter the AI.
Yep.
And this AI is learning and then reasoning now. Now we're totally into a whole new area. No longer just spitting out, I'm going to predict the next word. This is now intelligence, true artificial intelligence, true intelligence coming out. And that's based on compute power. So again, this is where you're going to see complete differentiators coming up, I think. Well,
there's some people that are suggesting that Tesla's FSD applied to humanoid bots may not be that helpful, and that just may be some FUD at this point. But it's interesting. It'd be interesting to see whether or not that has any merit. That concern has any merit. I don't think so.
Elon explained it very, very easily. He said that, I'll give you an example. He said, right, it's all about video data. So these LLMs we just watched, they're being fed this information, right? Tell me what a apple is, and then I'm going to grab the apple. Okay, and then they train it to be able to grab the apple properly. Elon explained, right? If you want to pour water into a cup, where's that video of you looking inside the cup and watching the liquid falling into the cup so you know that you placed it right and you're pouring it just the right amount of time? These are things that you and I have learned very easily because we've done it so many times. But that video of that action of grabbing a cup and pouring the water into it or whatever, that's just one example. Yeah. You need videos for that. And video, you need supercomputers that can manage video, not LLMs. And Tesla's the only one that has FSD computers that are grabbing video data into supercomputers, right? The supercomputer in Cortex, which is in Giga Texas, is very different than the supercomputer that is XAI is using, that's LLM, because this one is optimized for video.
Yeah.
So that's ridiculous.
And I guess the question though for Figure with Helix was that in conjunction with NVIDIA, is that where they grab the compute from?
We don't know yet, but it's possible. Yeah. So it's and then the other thing we should mention is the Chinese, right? We're kind of blind a little bit to how they are progressing. But again, don't jump to the conclusion that just we see every single day, we're seeing all these Chinese companies and we're watching these bots do flips and jumps and very impressive. It doesn't yet mean that they are ahead in any way, honestly. But it means that they can produce a bot, they can manufacture them quickly. And now we'll see what happens with this integration with AI. Intelligence is one thing we haven't seen yet from them, but no doubt they'll come up with it. So that's
it's interesting because the Chinese appear to be very focused on working on the durability of their bots.
Right. Weird.
Right. Yeah. And that's important for certain jobs.
Yeah.
For certain jobs.
But I don't think it's important at all.
Well, I mean, if the bot's cheap enough, then who cares how durable the bot is, right?
Well, I think the argument that many are saying is that I'm not saying it's not important at all. It's just that it's actually not the argument that the Tesla is saying, for example, it's the hands that matter most. The legs only take you so that your hands can actually do the actual job.
Right.
That's all the legs do. It's bring you from one place to another. Yes, I am aware that when you're opening up a cupboard, you're going to shift your hips, you're going to shift your hands. But that's not, you don't need to have.
Yeah, these videos that we see of the Chinese, hitting bots with sticks and breaking cement blocks over their chest seems a bit excessive. And that just may be them responding to a government, mandate that you need the bot to be certain capabilities, and they're trying to show that it has it. Mm-hmm. And then they go from there to the next phase where they get funding for that.
Yep.
Which may well be the hands.
Yep.
So
that's very likely. Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Cern. That was great. So Figure dropped a brand new demo here. We're going to explore this further to see exactly what this means, but it looks very impressive. And I think you and I both agree, right, that this just pushes the humanoid bot industry forward. It shows you that this is real industry and we're very at the cusp of it. So thank you so much, Cern. Follow him. You can see his deep research and presentations that he's done on the humanoid bot industry. It's the best out there. Thank you so much, Cern. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Herbert.
Bye-bye. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.